Good afternoon, everybody. This is a little difficult way to speak to a crowd because I'm up here and you're down there and you're kind of far away and it's dark and it's hard to completely connect. But I'm going to do the very best I can this afternoon in the next 10 minutes or so. But I really want to start this afternoon by asking you a question. And I think it's an important question, particularly for this event, particularly for you. And that question is simple. Why did you come? You came, I know that I came from Appleton this morning. It took me 4 hours to drive over here. I know I've got Shirley Kaufman from Marinette County, probably about as far away from here as you can get in Wisconsin. She's here. But why did you come? Why did you take the time and why did you spend two and a half days to be here? And I want you to think about that as I go about my comments. I'm going to come back to that at the end of it, because it's a very, very salient question as we go into 2016, which is going to be a very, very important time for us and for our country. A few months ago, and I apologize for some of the folks in the 8th District that have heard me speak along these lines before, but a lot of the state has not heard this, and so I want them to hear it. Back in February, we had a bicameral Republican planning session that took place in Hershey, Pennsylvania. We had the Republican senators there with the Republican House members. We had a bunch of speakers come in. We tried to lay out as best as we could what the plan was for this congressional session. One of our speakers was Arthur Brooks, of the American Enterprise Institute. He gave us 3 pieces of advice, and they're so salient that I want you to hear what they were, because I think it can matter to what you do in the work that you do as you begin to work for your member of Congress, your state assemblyman, state senator, Governor Ron Johnson, and ultimately for the President of the United States. The first thing he told us is that if we want to win 2016, if we really want to win the future, Republicans must stop fighting against things and start fighting for people. We have to stop fighting against things and start fighting for people. We've got a reputation. I think it's fine that we're kind of the policy people. We're the ones that really are concerned about getting the policy right, getting the minutia right, getting the numbers right. But if we get all those things right, but it's absent the heart of the American, it's irrelevant. We don't really get to them. And so what happens is we come across as just being fighters against ideas. You've heard us being called the party of no. And I will tell you, there are many times I wore that as a badge of honor because we had to tell the president no. Sometimes you have to do that when you're in Congress. But instead, we need to offer our own alternatives that will make the lives of every single American better. So number 1, stop fighting against things and start fighting for people. The second thing he told us is Republicans need to go to where they're not invited. They need to go to where they're not invited. Now, how does that look like in real practice? Yeah, I mean, you can think about it. We're right here in Wisconsin. Maybe Republican members of Congress ought to go to union halls. And we ought to talk to them. Let me tell you a story about a union hall I went to. I will leave it nameless, but I'll tell you the story. I went in and I met at the union hall. I had a tour of their training center. As you're walking by one of the offices, there was a wall of bumper stickers. Every single bumper sticker was a Democrat. Every single one. But there was one right in the middle of the wall that was a Republican bumper sticker, kind of. It said, Republicans are like diapers. They need to be changed often. Okay, now, you need to know that labor union needs our ideas. And the question that I needed to ask them is, what has President Obama's and the Democrats' agenda done for you? How has your life gotten better? We've seen flat wages. We've seen slow economic growth. We've seen a degradation of construction. We saw the cancellation of the Keystone Pipeline. How are these policies making your life better? And then I shut up. I stopped talking because I understand a core principle of human nature. And that core principle of human nature is if you want to open up avenues of communication, you must first seek to understand before ever asking to be understood. And so I stopped talking. And for the next hour, these union members started pouring their soul out to me about their families, about their concerns for their career, about the fact that maybe Obamacare didn't work out the way that they thought. They're worried about the tax on individuals, about the fact that the Keystone Pipeline was held up, about the fact that the president and the Democratic Party have always promised them these things, but they weren't coming. And there I was. I want you to know, a while later, that same labor union dedicated a $2 million expansion of their educational facility. And almost every single state assemblyman and state senator, every single Democrat person you could find in northeast Wisconsin was there. But when they invited someone to come up and speak and cut that ribbon, it was me. And I don't say that in any manner with which to be arrogant or to brag or anything like that at all. But I know that we can win the hearts and minds of people if we're willing to engage the hearts and minds of people. If we start talking to them not as an idea, not as blue or red America, but simply as just another American who have the same interests you have, who want to see their kids do well in school and go to their soccer games and have a vacation and maybe have a nice home or car to drive. The very same things that you and I want as conservatives. We want those same things. And so we need to take our ideas into places where we don't typically go. We need to go to the Hispanic community. We need to talk to them. They're industrious. They're pro-life. They're predominantly Catholic. They hold a lot of the values that we hold. But they know nothing about us because we don't show up. We need to go to the inner city, whether it's white or black. Doesn't really matter. Paul just talked about the fact of the matter is we can help low-income Americans with our ideas, but they'll never know our ideas if we never go and tell them. They're going to hear just the sounds of the left. They're going to hear the beat drum of the blue. That's all they're going to hear because we're not there. So we need to go where we're not invited. And finally, he said, you do not fight for people who like you. You fight for people who need you. And I will tell you, in my 4.5 years in Congress, not one time, and I know that it's true about all of my colleagues, not one time did we ever ask when someone came in with a problem with the VA, Social Security Administration, Medicare, whatever their problem was, we never said, did you vote for me? Did you vote for Congressman Ribble? Are you a Republican? We never asked that. Not once. Because these are citizens who, in a representative republic, the kind of government that you and I, of all people, cherish, that we value so much. And we needed to fight for them, not because they liked me, not because they voted for me, but because they needed me. It's just a core principle of common decency, that if you begin to do these things, you can connect with people in a way that's never been seen before. I have walked the rows and rows of headstones at Arlington dozens of times. And you see all these rows of these American patriots, and they're going this way in a perfect row, and they're going this way in a perfect row, and they're going this way in a perfect row. And you see them, and you're just almost awestruck by the cost of freedom. And I want you to know that I've walked behind those tombstones, and I've read whose names are on those tombstones. And I've never seen, not a single time, Sergeant so-and-so, Democrat, Lieutenant Colonel so-and-so, Republican. I've never seen it, not once. All I've seen is a bunch of tombstones of American heroes and patriots who died for their country. You want to win 2016? You want to win 2016, you start to view life through a different prism. And you walk and you go to these places without fear. And it's not about being red. It's not about being blue. It's not even, in many cases, about being right. It's about caring for people from the very core of who you are. And the reason I asked the question at the very beginning of my comments, why are you here? Because I know about the core of who you are. I know that for some reason you spent a day and a half here for some reason. It can't be because the speeches are that good. There's got to be a reason that you came. And I know that you came because you love your country. You love it more than maybe life itself. You love it in many respects the way that those men and women who've sacrificed all throughout our history love it. And the question is, are you willing to work for it? Is this just an exercise where you come and you cheer and you applaud and you prop each other up and then you go home and you go about your business? Or is it something much more profound and much deeper than that? Is it something that gets right at the core of who you are as an American? That it matters so much that you would take this time away. Don't let this time today, tomorrow, go to waste by when you leave here to not apply it. Go to those people that you know. Go to those who maybe don't agree with you. Go to places that maybe you're not invited. And do it without fear. We're all Americans. We're all in it together. We can win this country. We can make it the greatest place forever for our kids and our grandkids if we all do that. Thanks for having me today. It's good to be with you.